What's up, YouTube? Knight's Edge here again. Got another little quick knife overview / review for you. This is courtesy of Mr. Eddie 411. Appreciate him sending me knives like this to review. Really means a lot to the channel, and it's thanks to people like him that I can keep going with all kinds of crazy, extravagant, awesome, high-end knives like this. So this one is, and also before I forget, definitely check him out on Instagram. He makes his own fixed blades. He's got a really cool little setup at his house. It's Mr. Eddie _ 411 on Instagram. He'll be linked down in the description. Check him out. Definitely a great guy. Makes some pretty cool stuff. Definitely puts his heart and soul into it. So this one is the Hoback knives, Jake Hoback knives, War Spear. This one is pretty neat. Definitely a unique knife in the realm of knives I've tried out. Anyway, super duper cool knife. We're going to talk all about it. Get a little close up over there. This is 19 of 50, right? So this is, I don't know if this is production, semi-custom, what you would call it. But definitely not your average everyday Spyderco bench made whatever. You know, this is a lot smaller of a batch than that. So definitely a unique knife. And go ahead and get size comparisons, specs, all that stuff out the way here. Tape measure out. So overall length on this guy, surprisingly, now it looks, to me anyway, the first time I saw it, it looked bigger than it actually is. So looking at from the tip of the blade all the way down to the end of the handle, you're looking right at 7 5/8 right there. Blade length overall, you're looking, if you go all the way back here to where the blade meets the handle, you're looking at 3 1/8 there. Cutting edge just at 3 inches, right? So this knife definitely has a larger presence than its dimensions, I guess you could say, if that makes any sense to anyone out there other than me. So, get the calibers out, get a blade stock thickness on it, 155 thousandths, super thick for a blade stock. Not the thickest by any means ever, but pretty darn thick. And swedges down to a full flat grind, actually, I believe. Goes to 21 thousandths, and that's right behind the edge, where the edge meets the flat on the rest of the blade. Handle thickness on this guy, looking at 579 thousandths. Pretty noticeable thick handle when you look at it, but mainly because it's so broad. You know, it's longer this way than a lot of knives. It's definitely longer than the blade, right? So it's a pretty robust, thick handle you got going on here. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. Spyderco Paramilitary 2. Some size comparisons here, and the Spyderco Para 3. So you can see it's a little bit longer than the Para 3, a little bit shorter than Para 2, kind of right in between. Definitely more cutting edge than the Paramilitary, or than the Para 3. And whenever you go all the way back to the cutting edge, a little bit less cutting edge than the Paramilitary 2, but not much, right? So good little comparison there. We've got the Ontario Knives Rat Model 1, Ontario Knives Rat Model 2. So you can see kind of where you're sitting right there between the two. But really, whenever you look at cutting edge, the Rat 1 is a little bit more so than the War Spear. This is the Doug Ritter Hogue RSK MK1 and G10. This is the Hogue Deca. Right, so as far as cutting length, what you're looking at is right along the same size as the Hogue Deca, really, I would say. Right, and a little bit shorter than the Ritter Hogue. Now, overall length, definitely the Ritter Hogue beats it by an easy ½ inch, maybe more than that. And Hogue Deca actually coming just under a finger width. My finger width anyway, from being just as long as that, right? So kind of right in between those two, I would say. Let me get out the scale here Get a weight on this bad boy. Now this thing is chunky. It might be a surprise and look at. I don't know if now looking at it, whenever you're looking at it, the titanium looks heavy, but whenever you actually get it in hand, it's to me anyway was surprisingly light compared to how I thought it would feel. Right, so 5.7 ounces, not a light knife at all, but 5.8. 5.8. So we're gonna go with 5.8. Got that one twice. So definitely not a light knife by any means, but with your Flytanium Lotus scales on it, Paramilitary 2, sitting right at 4.95 ounces. So not what I would say is definitely not a weight that's uncarryable by any means. Get out the blue jeans here, pocket clip. Now this thing, whenever you put it in your pocket, it doesn't shoot out that much, so it's not like Civivi's pocket clip where it grabs other stuff. So I appreciate that, and it kind of goes down there about right there. So by no means a deep carry clip, right? So you're looking at that's what you're looking at when you're carrying the knife. So you can definitely tell that there's a knife in the pocket. You know, if you're looking for a more discreet carry, that's something to keep in mind. I don't know if they do aftermarket clips or not for it, but you know, that is one thing to keep in mind. Go ahead and do the hardware check here. I'm going to T8 out. All right, T8 on that body screw. All the body screws are going to be T8. Pivot, I think, yeah, pivot's T8 also. Pivot's captive. That's an awesome thing, right? T8 on that lock bar. T8 on that one. That is awesome. And let's see, pocket clip, T8 awesome. That's awesome all the way around. You know, A plus 100 as far as hardware goes on this thing. Do have quite a few body screws in it. You know, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the pivot. You know, and then you got the clip there. If you take that apart, if you look at the frame lock, which is what this is. I don't know if I covered that or not, but this is a frame lock. If you look at the frame lock, you're looking at that's T8 on those two set screws there for the frame lock, and that's the over travel stop. T8 also on that one. And to adjust from what Mr. Eddie was telling me the other day when I reviewed the other Jake Hoback knife, you can get a T6. Let me make double sure of that, but you can get a T6, I think. All right, yeah, T6, and you can adjust that to what you want it to be at as far as detent goes. That's pretty common amongst Hoback knives, so that's a good thing. Got the backspacer here to keep a lot of extra material, debris out of. That's a good thing. That's awesome. The flipper tab, whenever it's engaged and flipped down, is, you know, kind of cumbersome when it's closed, right? So that's something to keep in mind. A little bit of a pocket pecker, I guess you'd call it there. And then down here, if you're choked back, kind of serves as a little bit of a guard. You know, that's cool. And whenever you're choked up, you can kind of pull back on it right there like that. And that helps out as well. Pretty comfortable there in hand. I'm pretty locked in, not going anywhere like that. So that's a good thing. This really large jimping feels good as far as your thumb goes on top of that blade. Now, one of the biggest complaints I've got about this knife, and overall, I really like this one. But as far as complaints go, the rigidity, if that's a word even, with the titanium that's cut out there, right? So I don't know if y'all are getting that fully or whatever, but you know, that close up will definitely show you that those are some deep grooves in that titanium handle. Now that's fine, but whenever you're handling it, this right here, 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 that's not contoured, right? So it can be slightly sharp, especially when you're carrying this a lot, cutting a lot with it and opening and closing a lot with it. So that's definitely something to keep in mind there. So that's a negative. So let me off the bat show you a positive right here. This is the box that it comes in. Awesome, super awesome, really cool. The other Jake Hoback knife did too. I put it in the thumbnail, but I don't think I mentioned it in the review of the one Sam that I did. But this war spear, you know, it comes with all kinds of cool little stuff. It comes with your little adjustment tool for everything pretty much involved with the knife. All that's packaged in this hardwood box. You know, that is normally not something that I would include, you know, in a knife review, but I mean, that is something to think about. Some pretty good packaging there. So really good on that. Super impressed with that packaging. The action on this thing is awesome. Running on bearings. You can middle finger flick it, spidey flick it, no problem. Whenever you push it in, once it clears that detent, doesn't really automatically drop shut with the weight of the blade. So let me clear the detent here. Where's that detent? Got an early detent, kind of feels like. All right, so once I clear that, which is right there. All right, so gravity does not pull it shut, but you can kind of shake it shut like that, right? So that's what you're looking at as far as a detent. Does not shake open. That's a good thing, right? Middle finger flick, if you're any good at that, definitely the way that you're going to want to open this thing. As far as I am concerned, whenever I was carrying it, that flipper tab kind of became obsolete once I discovered that I can use that fuller there to middle finger flick it. You know, that was a good thing. So once you discover that, you're kind of wondering, like, man, do I really need a flipper tab on this knife? You know, right? Because it's an awesome knife, but I don't know if anybody, y'all might not think the way that I do, but as far as I'm thinking on this knife, whenever you can engage it and disengage it using the fuller, you know, that is that's something that to me would wipe out the use for the flipper tab. You know, it kind of makes the flipper tab a thing that's in the way, really. All right, I had to cut out there for a second. Sorry about that. But yeah, the blade steel on this is S35VN. No complaints there. A lot of people, you know, might have an issue with S35VN being on a knife that's this, you know, at this price point. And I think if I'm looking at it right, I'm looking at Arizona custom knives. These go for around 600, 625. Not sure if this is that same actual version. I've looked it up on Knife Center. They said they're discontinued. So pretty sure that this particular version is the one that goes for 625. If I'm wrong, you can definitely correct me in the comments. You know, the back spacer, it's got a floating bag spacer on it. You know, really good production value on this knife, I would say, overall, with the adjustments there for you that you have for your over travel stop. You know, this little bit of jumping there, jumping up here, everything. This is just an awesome and really good, really well put together knife. My two main complaints on it will be the sharpness of these really deep grooves, which I do absolutely love these deep grooves. It makes you feel with that broad handle like you've got a solid grip on something. You know, it feels like an actual, you know, weapon of war or something. But the thing that I dislike about them is they're so, you know, cutty. It would have been nice if they would have contoured those out. And the flipper tab, if they would have got rid of that, you know, that would not have hurt my feelings. So other than that, this is an awesome knife. Really like this knife. Appreciate Mr. Eddie for letting me have this in for review. Beautiful knife, and thank you guys for watching. It means so much. Appreciate everyone that subscribed to the channel, that's liked the videos. Definitely helped me out a lot and kind of validates what I'm doing here. So Until next time, hope you guys have a good evening, morning, night, whenever you're watching this, and I will see you on the next one. Stay sharp.